Okay, hello everyone. So I'm gonna show you how to connect Amazon RDS. Currently I'm using Postgres with PostGIS on Amazon RDS. So I'm gonna show you how to connect to that from QGIS using SSH. So normally QGIS doesn't support SSH. So we're gonna be using an SSH client to connect to the RDS instance. So you need to have URL for your Amazon RDS service. You need to have the host or IP address and port for the EC2 instance on which the RDS service is running. And you need to have username and password to log into the EC2 instance. And you need to have a private key to connect from SSH client. So I'm using PuTTY SSH Client for this demo. And of course you need QGIS. So the first step is we'll open a PuTTY and create a new session. Okay, so PuTTY. Okay, I'm gonna delete this session. So I'm gonna add my Amazon EC2 instance here. Okay, so the port is by default 22, so I'm gonna leave it there since I'm using port 22. So the next step would be to go to the connection and SSH and authorization and select your private key. So here is the SSH. Okay, so authorization, and then under the credentials I'm gonna browse my private key. So I have associated my private key here. So the next step would be to go to the tunnels. Here is the tunnel option. So I'm gonna add Amazon RDS instance and port. So you need to have access to your Amazon RDS instance. So the port is by default for 5432, on which Postgres service is running by default. So if your port is different, make sure to change it also. So for the port in which I'm going to be using to connect from QGIS, I'm going to use 9977, but you can add any port as long as it's free and not being used on other service. So here I'm going to add source port 9977. Okay, and for the destination I'm gonna be using this Amazon instance and with the port. Okay, so I'm gonna add it here. Okay, now I add it here. So the next step is to go back to the session and save the connection. Okay, go back to the session and save the connection. AWS con. Okay, save it here. Okay, so now I'm gonna click it here and open the connection. Okay, gonna load it, make sure everything is right. Okay, I mean your host, your credential, and your tunnels are configured accordingly. Okay, so I'm gonna open it now. So I'm gonna be required to enter my username and password. So enter it here. So if it's successful, the service will be connecting to the Amazon EC2 instance. So now I'm gonna go to QGIS. Okay, make sure this is running while you're trying to connect from QGIS, otherwise it might not work. Okay, so add layer, PostGIS layer. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new connection here. I'm gonna add the name AWS SSH QGIS. Okay, so the host, now I'm gonna add localhost, and the port that I used here is like 9977, so I'm gonna be adding 9977 here. Okay, 9977. Okay, so the database is the one that you're trying to connect which is basically found on RDS instance. Make sure you write the correct name. Okay, so now I'm gonna test the connection. So I'm gonna be prompted to enter my Postgres username and password. So Postgres. So I'm gonna enter my password. Okay, I'm gonna click OK. So if everything went smooth, this should be prompting you to connect to the service. So you can add the geometries here, and you can add list of tables with no geometries. You have this option. So I'm gonna click OK by default. Okay. So now it's gonna show me the list of geometry tables that I can access. Okay, so here I can add projection or some other thing here, so I'm gonna add it by default. Okay, this might take a while because it's using SSH to connect to the database. Okay, so as you can see, here is my layer. So this is how you can connect Amazon RDS Postgres from QGIS using PuTTY SSH Client. Thanks for watching.